Welcome to the Soul Work Podcast, a space where we dive into the journey of reconnecting with our body, our intuition, and our soul's true divine purpose. Each week, we will explore how to heal from within using body centered wisdom, somatic and holistic healing practices, and engage in soulful healing and transformative conversations that will support you on your path to wholeness. In this podcast, we'll uncover ways to recognize the messages our bodies is sending us, transform old wounds, and step fully into our divine power. So, whether you're here to break free from past patterns, build resilience, or simply deepen your soul's awareness, this space is dedicated to your growth, your healing, and your unique soul journey. So, take a deep inhale and exhale. Settle in, grab your cup of tea, and let's do the soul work together. This is your Soul Work Podcast for your soul's work. Hey y'all, welcome to the Soul Work Podcast. My name is Ashleie Elaine, and I'm going to be your guide as we journey through doing the soul work for our soul's work. This series that me and my girl Keys are doing, we're just on episode 2, and let me tell you, y'all are in for a treat. This episode, we are talking about mothering through narcissistic abuse and regaining your autonomy as a mother. So really diving into this world of just what happens to us as mothers, as women, right? But as mothers and our children when we're engaged in a narcissistic abusive relationship. So we're diving in. Spirit was definitely present. God was in the room on both sides. And I'm grateful. It's timely. It's timely. I'm still speechless from just how amazing this conversation was. So prepare your hearts, prepare your mind, prepare your soul, prepare your body, get your tea, the things, all the things, as we tap into this beautiful episode. And welcome to Love After Narcissistic Abuse. My name is Ashleie Elaine.
And I'm Intuitive Keys.
Yes, and we have collaborated to bring you a safe and sacred space of vulnerability, healing, and affirmation to give you space to know and remind yourself that loving yourself and being in a healthy, loving relationship and partnership is so very possible. This particular episode is for my mommies. Yes, we are talking about the nuances of narcissistic abuse when it comes to motherhood, when it comes to our children. It gets messy, it gets a little crazy, it gets a little gaslit, right?
Mm.
Let's be honest about what happens in this space. But
Mhm.
we're here to remind you that you are an amazing mother. Your children love you, and there's nothing that is going to separate that bond from you and your children, right? The old wise tale that our children choose us, we don't choose them.
Yes, for sure.
Yes. So prepare your hearts, prepare your minds, get your tea as we get into this episode. All right. So we're going to go ahead and just find our breath, find some calm in our body, finding that comfortable seated posture. If sitting is not available to you, you can lay down. If you are driving, be safe, keep your eyes open, and engage in this practice when you have a moment to. An option here is to bring your gaze down your nose, or you can completely close your eyes, whichever allows you to feel safe within your space and within your body. And just continue to breathe, locating your breath. Where does it begin for you? Does it begin in your chest? Does it begin in your belly? And I invite you to draw your focus and your awareness, all of your attention to your belly, maybe bringing both hands to that space. Reminding yourself of the gift that you've been given to be a mother, to be a woman, to be a portal, to create life. And even if you're engaging in this space right now and you're not a mother, you are still a creator. You are still a portal that can be used to create change on this planet, create change in this country, create change in your bloodline. Our womb space isn't just for having babies, it is also where our power lives, right? When you connect our sacral with our solar plex, where our creativity lives, where some of those wounds that we might be afraid to touch live. You're safe here to explore. You're safe here to touch that wound and staying with your breath. And just noticing what's arising, where you might be clenching or tensing. We'll take a collective, nice big inhale. And exhale whatever just arised and release it. We'll do that one more time. Nice big inhale. And release. Last round. Nice big inhale, really collecting whatever has risen for you in that womb space, in your solar plexus that no longer needs to be, that no longer defines where you are and who you are, and whatever stories have been living in that space. On your next exhale, give yourself permission to let go. And when you're ready, slowly blinking open the eyes. Hmm.
Thank you for that. Ooh, I don't know how you
Mm-hmm.
guys feel listening after that, but I hope that you receive it and you allow what needs to come up. So if you listen to episode 1, then you know when we start our episodes, we not only go into, our meditation and our intentions for this space, but we also go into a card pull. And I'm going to pull a card for all of the mamas or those who, may have been in this situation and your womb space was still affected. You
Mm.
know, we're going to call in all of your angels of the highest good, your benevolent ancestors, your spirit guides, call in those I like to call them the warriors, calling your warriors and your spirit guides, ask them to protect you, just to give you a channeled message for this session. Um, and you guys know I'm keys and pulling the cards is what I do. I do have a card here that before starting this episode, as I was meditating on the um today's episode, the card that came out was Medusa, and Medusa is also a symbol of rage. Um, and when I thought about that card, I thought about, how many of us, as women, we hold on to anger and we hold on to shame and sadness and despair, but that we don't really get a chance to express it. And being a mom who, may have to co-parent with a narcissistic person, and how it takes so much self-control to maintain yourself while you caring for your baby, So I just want to remind all the women that may listening to this episode that hold space for your rage. Give yourself a chance, whether you need to scream, go in your car, whether you can get to some water, or even if you just find a safe space to express that emotion. Because the emotions that you don't allow yourself to feel, they end up manifesting, such as in a relationship that you have with your child later down the line, or how you make them feel about even new potential partners or just people in general. So I want to encourage you to honor your rage. Your rage is sacred. Your anger is sacred. And for somebody, you may be getting at that point where maybe you wanted to hold on to the relationship, because you wanted to protect your child. And you wanted, a unit for your child and to build a better future for your child. And maybe you're in this state right now where you're angry for um where you're angry for missing the message, and you're angry that you have to take something away from your child. And what I want you to leave with out of this message is that the decisions that you make affect your children, so you
Mm.
choosing yourself is one of the biggest decisions that you can make for the safety of your child. We're gonna do one more, y'all. And then we jumping straight in. I have cards popping out everywhere. So I'm gonna call them out. Something that I see right now says surrender. There's a card that's faced up that says divine lineage, and the one in my hand says resistant. Some people may be resistant, to actually leaving this person who may be making them feel undervalued because you want to give your child more. But like I just said, you acknowledging what's best for you is what's going to be best for your baby. So I hope you guys take these messages, let it settle within your spirit, and know that anger, anger gets things done. It creates change. And sometimes you have to get angry and fed up enough to know when you've had enough and to make a change on that.
Mm. A word on today.
Yes, spirit is coming through. Like, no, let's really get into it, okay? Because the mothers are the backbones of this world,
Yeah.
and to be in that space and having to parent, with somebody who's a narcissistic person, can be very difficult. I know, Ash, like you're a mom,
Mm-hmm.
can you
Mm-hmm.
speak more to that?
Yeah. Everything you just said is whew, I'm like, she in my journal again. Especially when you pulled the Medusa card, because a friend of mine I was got coffee with like last week. She's
Hmm.
like, "Oh, your locks are getting so long," and I called myself Medusa because
Wow, look at that.
I was also updating her on everything with my son and how enraged I've been,
Mm.
right? And it's when you understand rage, when you understand anger, when you understand these emotions and give yourself permission to feel them instead of
Yes.
suppress them, that's part of the healing, right? That's part of the healing because it allows you, it reminds you of one, the love you actually have for yourself and the love that you have for your child,
Yes.
right? um like as you were talking too about the cards, all the cards that popped out, I just kept hearing this is prevalent just amongst the level of disrespect amongst women,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because I mean, I'm thinking about like my aunt, I'm thinking about my mother, I'm thinking about my grandmother and their rage in this
Yeah.
also, right? And it's like when we think about like just in terms of like community programming and all of these things, it's like maternal and child health,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's coming back to why the mother child relationship is so important, because we are their first love, we are their first relationship, we are their first home,
Yeah.
we are their literal first home,
Yeah.
right?
Sense of safety.
So yeah, it's we're their first space of safety, right? No matter where we are in our awareness, lack of awareness, in our healing and our lack of healing, or whatever that looks like, we are our child's first home, their first sign of safety, their first sign of relationship, their first sign of love, their first sign I'm in my like my nerd bag, that Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like all of that, their first sign of consciousness, their first sign of everything, their first sign of life,
Yeah.
right? Like we are their first sign of life, we are their heartbeat before theirs even beat.
Yeah. The mother's heartbeat is actually the heartbeat that the baby first hears. So that thumping within your body, your child, literally think about it, when they're growing inside of you, that's the first heartbeat that they hear, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a that mother baby connection is such a beautiful relationship that starts even while in utero. So what you may have felt even during pregnancy, let's say you was in your pregnancy, with this type of person, a narcissistic person, and everything that your child feels, you know.
Yeah.
So when you think about it in like that rage, and it's so interesting how the messages come through, and the Medusa came out, that's what you called yourself. And when
Mm-hmm.
it spoke about like your anger being sacred, and to allow that space to come. And essentially it made me feel like tapping into the warrior within you in regards to protecting your child. And if any
Yeah.
mammal, if you've even watched the Discovery Channel and you see somebody go after the cub, that mama, it don't matter what type of mammal she is, it can even be reptiles. That mama is going to come for you, you know. And
Yes.
sometimes you may have to get at some people for the sake of protecting your child.
Yeah. It's never the male animal.
Right,
It's
right. It's
never the
mama bear. She's
male.
coming.
It's
Or that
always the
yes.
mama. Yes, yes. So I share on my podcast. I did an episode in October. October, I always dedicate my podcast to Domestic Violence Awareness Month, um, and Miscarriage Awareness Month, because they
Mhm.
tie into each other.
Yeah,
One with my story, and two just so happen they both are during that month.
right.
And one thing I like, when all of this started with me, I just kept wondering. I was like, I don't really understand what's going on. Right? It's like I'm being told that I can't talk to my son. I'm
Mhm.
being put on a time limit, and I'm just like, all right, well, maybe he's on punishment. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like trying to rationalize in my mind, like, all right, well, maybe, he just keep cutting up in school. But then it's like when I ask about behaviors, I'm not being told anything. And I just like, it just kept happening. And I started noticing how I was feeling. I was just like, something's not right.
Mhm.
Right. Something is not right. And all of a sudden, I just kept hearing all these different terms. There was parental alienation. And then when I researched that more, and it's like, no, the way parental alienation came about was a man actually lied about him molesting his child,
Oh.
and the mother protecting the child from the father. And now the father was claiming that he was being alienated from his child, even though the mother was protecting her child from the father who sexually assaulted her. So it was just like, okay, not using that term, because that's the way that term came about, had to be, I hate to say this, from a narcissist. Um
Mhm.
and then I was talking with a friend, and she was just like, it's like post separation abuse, right? There's which is
Mm.
like this can be a very long episode, and but I don't want to, we'll just keep going. I'll just keep going with whatever I'm feeling. And then there were like, I just kept doing research. I was like,
Hmm.
this just isn't, this is just not connecting.
It wasn't settling in your spirit.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I found this term, mother child relationship sabotage.
Mm.
I did an episode on mother child relationship sabotage and shared a little bit of my experience. I'm still like, one day I will share, me and my son will
Yeah.
share it in its entirety. Right now I'm only sharing what I know I can share because we still got court stuff coming up. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, oh, this is a very real thing.
Mm.
Oh, like there's people that actually conspire to damage and break up the relationship between a
Wow.
mother and their child. I was like, I'm reading more and now I'm finding support groups. And Key, when I tell you, there is a whole, like, just it's a whole nother world of women who have been abused, like have who have
Yeah.
experienced narcissistic abuse, emotional abuse, mental and psychological abuse, their children, through the court system,
Mm.
through the the mental and behavioral health system, through all of these channels that, one, working in that field, right? It's like, oh, I know what these are, right? They're here to help the people and heal the people. I'm an advocate for therapy. I'm a, all things behavioral health and all these
Right.
things. And I like wanted to go to law school at one point and become a family law attorney because of like childhood stuff. And it's like, I want justice. This is how it's going to be. And I'm like gun ho. And now it's like, oh, I'm 37 years old and like really sad that I'm just realizing how evil people really are.
Mm.
Right? Like my own covering had to come up and be like, "Hey, I think you're ready to see the world in its truth." And it's just like, "No. I want to stay like 5 and think everything is roses and sunshine, right?" But then it's like coming through that warrior had to come up and it's like, nah, like this is what's really happening and I can't not see it anymore, and
Right.
then being exposed to the truth of who people are.
Yeah. Which can be really hurtful as well.
Oof,
To know that somebody can be so intentional with trying to break up the connection, between a mother and her child, you know,
right.
um, for malicious intent.
Mm-hmm.
And to face that reality, I'm sure can be hard for a lot of mothers, who may even doubt that that's going on, because you never want to believe that the person that you had a child with, would intentionally, try to turn your child against you, or some people may try to take your child away, or
Mm-hmm.
fabricating stories and narratives, telling it to other people and painting you to be the bad guy in that story, and how that
Yeah.
can feel from a mom.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's painful.
Mm,
It's painful, and it's I mean, all like, this is my home. This is my town. This is my city. This is my county. This is, I have roots here that I thought I need to dig up and move somewhere else, and doing a lot of healing work. I was like, no, no, no. This is where I'm supposed to be. And it's like, you think you're going to come into my house,
mm,
slander my name, try and remove my child. And I think the biggest thing through all of this, and then I want to share like how prevalent this is, like numbers and statistics and all that. I think the biggest thing through all of this was, once I started like slowly sharing my story with
mhm.
people and then slowly sharing it a little bit on social media, everybody in this county knows who my son is.
Mm, wow.
They know who I am because of the work that I've done here, creating different organizations, grassroots things, the work I've done, like I work in children and families. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like I've done a lot for other families. So at one point I was like, I've done so much work for other children and their families, helping them get stabilized, helping them get resources, helping them get services, helping them be reunified with their parents. And I have no one to help me. Like I felt like I was fighting this alone, right?
Yeah.
Then it was just like, no, you need to like talk to people about it, open yourself up, tell your story a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. And
Oh.
now it's like whatever you need, we got you.
Mhm.
Right. So if it's like a character letter or whatever, like whatever it is, I got you. So the support has been grand, right? And I posted something on my Instagram a couple weeks ago where it's like sometimes the prayers that we pray, we're looking for them to manifest one way when it's really like no, like God's blocking something from actually being like worse than it needs to be or
Right.
even happening, right? So when I when I think about like just this journey and the fight, it's like, okay, I'm still in my right mind. I still have my health. I still have joy.
Yeah. Can't take those things away from you.
I
They can
still
try.
have my right. I still have my integrity
Right.
because the minute all of this started, like it was Operation Bring Jez Home, right? And I like that's what I named it. This whole thing
Mhm.
is called Operation Bring Jez Home. And my number one rule for myself was don't you dare move out of your integrity
Mm.
because that's who you are. That's what you've always stood on. We're not lying to get what we want. We're not making up stories to get what we want. We're not falsify. We're not going to be like everybody else and just make
Yeah.
up stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like we're going to fight with integrity,
Yeah. But also
right?
try not to be like the person that you're fighting against,
Right.
you
Right.
know? And
Right.
that
And
can be a
this
very difficult thing to build those defense mechanisms where you almost it almost feels like it like you want to fight fire with fire, but you have to move differently in a sense,
Mhm.
because it's bigger than you because your child is involved now. So you may not even be
Right.
able to act from a place of emotion. You had to move smart.
Right.
And I can't
Right.
imagine what that was like. Even making a decision to tell your story more. I know a lot of women, especially women who, have children, are afraid to like speak up about what they're going through, or who
Yeah.
may even be afraid of like going through the court system, and having to break down those ideas of like essentially how they saw their family. So I can't imagine like what that process for you as a mom was like with stepping out of your comfort zone to even let other people know what was going on and speaking about it.
Yeah. And it's hard because there's so many the gaslighting, right? Like,
Yeah.
as much as we don't want to admit to being gaslit, it happens,
Yeah, that's very
right?
true.
Like, it happens. Like, and I never want, like, don't tell me you can't be gaslit until you step in the shoes of actually being gaslit. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, and then there's so many other nuances of how this story even like integrate, like there's so many other pieces to it to where it's like, okay, was this my fault? Did I do this? What did and it's like the self-blaming, right? And one
yeah,
thing me and my therapist is always working through is you don't have to fall on the sword,
right.
right? Like if that was something that you are so used to doing, honor that you had to do that to protect yourself, right? And give people their stuff back.
Yeah, yeah,
Give them their sword back cuz the only sword that you need to fall on is the one that you actually need to fall on. And in this, you don't have no sword. You know what I'm saying? Like it was that reminder. So, just to bring some national perspective to the impact of narcissistic abuse on mothers and children. So, the prevalence of narcissistic personality disorder that Key mentioned in the first episode, approximately 1 in 25 adults in the US, which is like 2 to 3% of the population, has narcissistic personality disorder. That's
mhm,
a pretty high percentage in my
yeah,
book. That's too many people. Um, That means millions of people may have been subjected to narcissistic abuse, either directly by an individual with it or indirectly through relationship with narcissistic figures. Hey guys, have you paid attention to the world stage?
Mhm. Okay.
Just leave it there.
I say a lot, but we're gonna be. I can say a lot, but we're gonna leave it there. Okay, we're gonna leave it there.
Period. Narcissistic abuse and the impact on children. 60 to 70% of children raised by narcissistic parents develop mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, and or PTSD. That's a lot of children.
That's a lot of children. And think about how like some of these children who have these type of parents, the type of adults they grow up to be, and then how the cycle it continues to repeat. Like, wow, those numbers are staggering.
So, mm, and I like as I'm reading, I'm thinking about you as a doula, right? You're
Yeah.
like you don't know what you're what you're bringing into this world, right? That's crazy, right? Like you're
Yeah.
the joy of a baby, but then it's like, oh, this baby has to go home, and we don't know what's in that house, right? A study found that 75% of children of narcissistic parents struggle with chronic low self-esteem and emotional regulation. I
Wow.
almost want to also like this could be so I'm also like doing like a research project in this space too, but it's like I often wonder what the demographics of like BIPOC children look like in
Yeah,
that as
probably
well.
even higher.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Probably even for those who are not even or participated in like these type of studies, there's probably a whole population of BIPOC children who I think the numbers could be significantly higher if you want to add in other socioeconomic factors as well. You know,
Yeah.
and it's really heartbreaking. It really
It
is.
is. Yeah. Emotional and psychological impacts on mothers. 60 to 70% of mothers in narcissistic relationships report feeling isolated and unsupported, often due to their partner's effort to control their social networks.
Mm.
80% of women in narcissistic relationships experience some form of emotional abuse, leading to anxiety, depression, or trauma related symptoms. We talked about that last week too, right?
Yeah,
That narcissist has this need to control and to separate you from your support systems.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it happens over time where some women may not even notice it, but it's almost like essentially taking care of another kid. They become really needy, but they require all of your time, your energy, your attention. And if you decide to whether put that time back on you or put it back into nurturing your other relationships, right?
Yeah.
They almost get offended. And when your heart is involved and you love this person, you ultimately want to show up for them. So you don't even realize how you missing out with certain events or not, nurturing other relationships or your friendships around you until one day you look up and you are very isolated and you can't call nobody or you feel guilty or bad for not reaching out or possibly being
Yeah.
a good friend to somebody else because this person has taken away literally all of your energy and placed it on them.
Yeah. I even think about like moms who are dating, right?
Mhm.
I never and I'm guilty of this. I never I always thought that I could like make people like love each other. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? Like it's like, oh well, you love me, I love the both of you. We can all make this work,
Y'all should get
right?
together and make it work.
Yeah, we can all just make this work. And it's like
Right,
that doesn't really work too,
right,
right?
right.
So even like paying attention to that relationship between whoever this new partner might be and your child too,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah,
experienced that also, where it was like, how does an adult like not like a child?
yeah. Very strange.
And yeah, and you want to. separate me from spending time with my child. Like it was a very weird and complex thing, and it's at that space I was like, I still can't catch it. Like, I don't understand why this is not working. Like, we all love each other, right? Like, told you that veil, once it came off, I was like, ooh, girl, okay.
Yeah.
And then long-term consequences for victims. I like to say victors because that's what we are. 50 to 75% of individuals who experience narcissistic abuse as children or adults show lasting effects such as PTSD, severe anxiety, and depression into adulthood. 70% of adults who were raised by narcissistic parents report struggling with establishing healthy relationships and maintaining boundaries later in life. So that was, I mean, that's definitely something we touched on last week too, right? Is like that, like relearning yourself, right?
Yeah.
And
That
as a
so
mother, yeah, as a mother, you're already trying to learn how to set boundaries with your child, right? The parenting part of that. But now you have to set boundaries with this other person in relationship to how they treat you and your child, which is hard because that other person is the parent.
yeah. And that can be even harder because what if you're and like most children, but your child may really love them, you know?
Right.
So when you have to place some boundaries, especially when it comes to like visitation or how you guys even schedule things for one person to have that time, with your child. And or let's say, for the child for safety purposes, you stop those things and how that can make you look towards your child.
Mm-hmm.
How hard that can be, with even like not wanting to fully disclose what's happening with the other parent, but to let them know in a way that they can understand that it just can't happen right now. I can't imagine how hard that is for some moms to be in that space.
Yeah. And then it's like the age of the child too, right? Sometimes they understand.
Mm.
Sometimes they understand and they just don't know how to articulate it. They don't feel like their experience matters. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes they like kids pay attention to stuff.
Yeah, yes, they do.
They
Yes, they
pay
do,
they
especially
are
the older ones. You may get away
yeah,
with the babies is okay, but the older your children get, the more that they start to take notice of.
right. And Key, like you mentioned, you like you reiterate it often, which I'm glad, the grooming, right?
Yes.
Because not only does the grooming happen to the mother to where now like she's got your kid and like there's control factors there, right? Because one thing I had to learn also, some men want to make sure they get you pregnant because that is part of the control.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. And from my personal
Oof.
experience, because I don't have children. I don't have children yet. And it was within that relationship that I realized that I did not want children with that person, which,
Hmm.
helped me settle in my decision of separating and leaving this person alone. And one of the things that was used against me, during those moments where you kind of want to step away, but your heartstrings kind of pull you back, and it was during that stage of like going back and forth with this person, where they would say things to me like, oh, I'll get you pregnant. And to somebody who initially wanted to start a family with them, when you're in that in between space of like being 1 foot in and 1 foot out, that can be really difficult to hear because, yes, like I wanted to start a family with you, but now your actions and your behaviors tell me that I'm not safe here. And
Mm,
to hear
mm,
somebody say that they would get me pregnant just to keep me in a space or for them to have some type of access to me, it set off further like every alarm that I had in my body that you have to get out of this situation. You have to remove yourself, or you could potentially have to do like quote unquote life with this person, you know.
yeah.
Um and that didn't feel, at first it was like, oh, like I did want to start a family, but it started to be used against me as a threat.
Mm.
like almost like you'll never leave me type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And that was that hit that set off all the alarms where it was like, no, I gotta go. And then once my brain disconnected from the idea that I saw us and having a family and wanting to start, wanting to have kids with them, once that idea was gone out of my mind, it's like my body may have still been there, but my heart and my mind was somewhere different. I was just waiting
Mm.
for my vessel to pick up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when it comes to that being used as a form of control, even if you hear it, even if you aren't deep in a relationship with a narcissistic person, if you hear somebody say that they're going to do it to you so to stop you from leaving, that is a red flag.
Yeah.
That is a red flag.
Huge.
Because they're not, they don't want to go into it with the mind frame of let's do this together, let's be a family, let's build like a legacy together. They are going in it under the intention of if I do this to you, now you have to deal with me. You have to talk to me. Now it's almost like they want to own some sense of you,
Yeah. Mm.
and when it comes to the moms, I give you guys so much love. Because I know that a lot of moms may even question their decision when it comes to, like, yeah, you love your baby, but having to stay in contact with somebody else and the amount of work that you initially have to do on yourself first, whether you're still connected to that person, or divorced or just like not talking to that person, the amount of self-work that goes into like rebuilding yourself, in the midst
Yeah.
of still momming
Mm.
is
Mm.
such a difficult process that I've seen for some mothers, and for the mothers who are able to come through and to push through that, and to get to such a place of being like grounded. And I give y'all so much love. Like it's not enough words that I can get out within this time, within this episode that can truly express how I feel about the courage, the bravery, the strength, the willpower, the mental
Yeah.
fortitude that goes into having to love yourself enough to leave and still show up as a mother,
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's a lot. Because at some point, right? Because being a mom is already like, ooh, I don't want to spend $20 on these jeans, but my baby needs like $800 worth of clothes, but not
Yeah.
really. I just feel like I need to spend that money on them,
Yeah.
right? But then it's like at some point mothers have to learn like what self-care really looks like, right? What taking care of ourselves really looks like. And um I think at one point we may have like even chatted about this before, but it's like we haven't had those examples just as women, what it looks
Yeah.
like to be a rested woman, what it looks like to be a productive woman that's not hustling and moving and
Yeah.
like part of this grind culture, right?
A
So
free
it's
woman.
like a free woman, my God, right? Like it's so it's like trying to mesh what does this new version of womanhood look like and how do I intertwine that into mothering also. It's a whew, it's it's hard. It's
Yeah,
hard
it
because
is.
what people think mothering is, it's like you got to have your kids 24/7. You got to do this with them all the time. You got to sacrifice yourself. You got to, sacrifice this dream. You got to sacrifice that. You got like everything is your kids, your kids, your kids. And it's like, but if I don't take care of myself, they ain't going to be good.
Right. They won't even have you, you
They
know?
won't have me. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I don't, if I'm feeling the shift to start eating different and it's going to cost me a little bit more money, then that's not going to just benefit me. That's going to benefit him also. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because that's like adding years onto my life. That's adding something shift, like a different dynamic in my health, a different dynamic in his health, a different dynamic in the household now, right? No more snacking. He might not like it for a while.
Teaching him better habits
Right, right. So, and
that
then it's
start with
like,
you.
right, right. Because now we start to look at, okay, why do you want to snack all the time
Yeah.
outside of you being however years old and all the kids love Takis? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, why do you want to snack all the time? What now is disrupting you internally that you need space held for, right? Because if if I'm not able to regulate and notice those patterns within myself, how can I notice it in my child? How can I help my child through that?
Yeah.
Right? To be the generation shaker, mover, breaker, all changer, all of that. It has to start with how I mother first. And before before it starting with before it trickling into before it becoming how I mother, it has to be how am I as a woman, as a person, not even just a woman. How am I as a person?
Yeah.
How am I taking care of my personhood so that now as a mother it's no different. It translates into mothering. So now those protective factors are there for him, right? So moving into like claiming your autonomy as a mother, because one thing about narcissistic abuse, child, they gonna tell you every way, every which way, you are a horrible mother. You
Call
gonna
you
do
out your name.
nothing,
You're gonna be everything but a child of God. Okay.
everything but a
And
child of God.
and for moms, what they do is they attack your motherhood.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and for somebody who maybe still like and coming out of being under the control of a narcissistic person, or just from listening to the stories and the narrative they try to like imprint, within you. Um, yeah, it,
You
it, it,
mentioned
it
last week, yeah, you mentioned last week how you start sharing like your story with
yeah,
people, with, well, not with people, but with this person.
yeah,
They try to bring that old version back and say, well, that's who you really are.
right,
You're not a good mother, like this is who you really are. And it's like, if that's what you thought, then why are you here? Why would you,
yeah,
right? It like play their game, right? It's like, oh, well, if that's who you thought I was when I shared that, then why did you stay? Why do we have a kid together? Why do we, whatever that is. But even like you sharing that last week, right? It's like, oh, that's the narrative they want to hold on to and use against you now. So now it's like even them trying to take an old version of you and pin it up against who you are as a mother because
yeah,
they see that you're an amazing mother.
yeah. They do everything to attack your self-esteem to get you to believe that you ultimately are not worthy,
Mhm.
and a lot of things that I see, even when it comes to like my doula clients and within my business, what I tell people that I do is I mother the mother. And I think that sometimes the mothers, the nurturing, the care that they give to everybody else, it needs to get put back into themselves, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, where do we start within that? And it's like when it comes to like reclaiming your autonomy, is claiming your autonomy to me is just like getting back in the driver's seat of what's happening, and
Yeah.
to do that, sometimes you have to make some very hard decisions, but just because it's a hard decision doesn't mean that it's not the right decision to make,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
being
Those hard
honest about
decisions.
and the reality of the situation.
Yeah, those hard decisions are normally the ones that where the breakthrough is.
Yeah,
Right? That awakening from what I've been accepting, who I've allowed myself to be, who I've allowed this person to tell me I am, whatever
yeah,
I was believing, and then making that decision, even like you shared when your body was there but your brain and everything else was already
gone.
gone. Right? It's like, okay, the decision is like we're here. Like the breakthrough is always in that space of that hard decision. Yeah, the autonomy of motherhood. So some things that I'm just thinking about my own journey, right? What do you enjoy for self? Right? Come back to you.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy for yourself? Is it going to the movies? I think I shared like AMC used to have that, or
Hmm.
they probably still that you go see 3 movies for free.
That
I'm
was your
like,
thing.
okay, that was my thing, right?
Yes.
Like, what is it that you enjoy, right? Enjoy. If you're not enjoy doing it, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it because somebody else says you need to do it. Don't do it because you think it's something you need to do. What actually brings you joy, right? Um, what do you enjoy doing with your kids or with your child, right? My son is also a movie head. So anytime
Look
we
at that.
link up, yeah, anytime we link up, I'm like, bro, try and go see Moana too. He's like, nah, I don't want to see that. And then I was like, you sure? He's like, nah, mommy, that looks corny. I'm like, all right, went to go see him for Thanksgiving. He's like, I want to see Moana too. I was like, I knew it.
And that's something that you guys can enjoy together.
And then afterwards, we sit and talk about the movie, and he's just
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I didn't like that part. Oh, I thought that part was cool. Or this is how I felt about the story." Like that's our thing, right? What is it that keeps you and your child bonded,
Yeah.
right? Because another thing, and I got off track a little bit, but with the grooming part, right? That other parent, depending on the age of the child, and this says a lot, in my opinion, this says a lot about how that parent thinks about your child, will start grooming the child,
Hmm.
will start telling this child whatever narrative they want to tell, right? Will start um giving the child what the child wants, right? The bribery and all these
Yeah.
things, right? They will start grooming this child to believe whatever narrative they want, right? So, and just for that was difficult when I realized it was happening,
Mm.
because now I was nervous to be around my own child, because I didn't know, okay, like, is he going to remember, our
Right.
relationship? Is it like, how is he going to be with me? Like, I'm nervous because I don't know who's
What's
been
happening in the
saying
other
what to
household
him.
and not with you?
Right. I don't know
Right.
what he's being told, how it's being perceived, all these things. And then even like when I went to Cambodia for a little while and okay. We're back. Sometimes when spirit starts getting
They
moving,
shut it down. They
that
shut
means we right where we need to be.
it. We are electric right now, okay?
Yes.
The spark is flying out into the universe. But we are
Yeah.
back.
But coming back to what you enjoy with your child, right? Another one, remember who you are to them.
Yeah.
Remember who you are to them. That grooming process that I was mentioning, there's this thing in child development, those core memories, right? Your child, you have created core memories with your child.
Yeah.
Now, only you are responsible of what those core memories you created with your child are, right? There was a moment where me and my son would talk, and I'd be like, "Oh, you remember when you were younger and I took you up North Jersey and we went to this Thomas the Train thing, and you had like he had the little hat, and there was like this big like this long train,
Mhm.
and they made the first one Thomas the Train." And he was like, "I do remember that." Like at some point, he was told things to block out the core memories that were created between him and I. And his birthday is on the time right now.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That is those core memories, as you were saying that, it made me think about this movie that parents can possibly use for those who like movies. There's a Disney movie, I think it's called like Inside Out. And what it does
Mm,
is it explores human emotions and gives them personalities. I think this is a great movie for parents to watch with with their children, especially those children who may be affected by having another narcissistic parent, just to
yeah.
help them identify what they're feeling. But in the movie, they talk about those core memories and how they get almost like put in the back of the mind,
Yeah.
how like the small, like maybe like a sight or a smell or something that stimulates your senses can bring up those deep memories. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yes, and even when it comes to the cord aspect of it, when you think about your child being in utero, they were once connected to you through the umbilical cord because your body grew what's called your placenta that nourishes your baby.
Mm-hmm.
Even when your baby is born and they cut that cord, there's still a spiritual tie there or ethereal cord that you still have with your children where you guys will always be connected.
Mm.
So it doesn't
Always.
matter
Yeah.
what somebody will try to do. um to try to break up that relationship, as long as you stay true and your child knows who you are as a person, because eventually children grow up and you start to see your parents for who they truly are. So it may be difficult in this space, but if you're still loving, even if you are building those healthy communication skills, with your child, and helping them process their own emotions that they may be feeling, you may have to do some reparenting, or when the child come back into the house and things that they've been told. But it really takes you to be upfront, with your child, and to really ask them, to really get really, I want to say raw in the sense, but to really open up that safe space for your children to share. And for parents of littles, like maybe your kid is small and they can't really articulate, what's happening. It's just reinforcing, mommy's here, this is a safe
Yeah.
space, and nurturing that, so that when they get to an age where they can share, now you really know what's going on. But that cord is something about that mother baby cord that is so sacred, where you can be apart from your child and still know what's going on, or you can almost feel them. And I think women who have been pregnant they talk about experiencing what's called like phantom kicks, where the baby's
Mm-hmm.
already here, but you can still, some part of you still feels pregnant, or you still feel those kicks, or when it rains, you could still, feel some type of sensation that reminded you of being pregnant. So just know that it doesn't matter what the enemy tries to do and how they
Ooh.
try to sabotage that relationship. What's divine is divine. And as long as you stay true to who you are and create that space and that bonding time with your child, your baby's going to know who's who, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I actually pulled up me and my son's birth chart
Yeah,
together
that's
on the
cool.
pattern app. And it said that we're here to have a good time. I was like, that makes sense.
Yes. And your children are also teachers.
Yes. Oh,
So maybe you didn't build boundaries with that narcissistic person, but now you're being forced to, because now it's bigger than you and you're taking care of your child and want to protect your child, even if it's from the other parent. But it's
yeah.
forcing you to do those things that you struggled with before. So your child ultimately, if almost like it forces you to grow,
Yeah.
and
Definitely
sometimes it
did.
takes your baby to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
for the moms listening, like even when it comes to who you had a baby with, just know that that
Yeah.
child divinely chose you to come down here.
Mm-hmm.
They call them, it's a book out, you can find it on Amazon, y'all, but it's called Spirit Babies, and it basically says, like, we all start as spirits, and our children ultimately know who they want to come down with. They
Yeah.
know which mother they would like to come through. Sometimes your children will lead you to certain people just to carry out a mission that they have here in this earthly realm, even if that is to teach you something about yourself.
Yeah.
So don't blame yourself, for not seeing the red flags before, or for possibly having a child with this person. Like the damn, I wish I didn't do this with this person, because your child was divine, is supposed to be here, even if they
Yeah.
haven't come through that person or
Yeah.
be co-created with that person. They
Yeah.
still chose you. So
Yeah.
honor your babies, okay? Honor this
Honor
this
them.
mother baby connection. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, honor that. Take hold of that. Take charge of that. Step into that
Yeah.
warrior energy and that lioness that says this is what you're not going to do. And
Mm.
sometimes you have to, when it comes to like leaving, when I left my narcissistic relationship that I was in, um, I left with some open wounds, and it was on that journey of like self-love and self-discovery that I was able to heal those wounds the right way. But it didn't mean they didn't leave some scars,
Yeah.
and versus
Yeah.
looking at my scars, like, and being down about some of the things that I experienced, or for what I feel like I let myself, I put myself in that situation, instead of that blame, um, and projecting that onto myself. I looked at my scars as, wow, I survived that. I'm a
Mm.
warrior. I have the scars to prove it.
Mm.
Never consider
Mm.
myself a victim, but a victor. And there's a song that said, um, I forgot what is his name. It's a gospel song that says, my name is Victory.
Hey, 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 hey.
One of my songs, okay? It says my name, my name is Victory, and you claim that over your
Mm.
life, moms. Like, so
My name
that
is
is your name.
Victory.
Yes, like my name is Victory, and I was like, I'm not
Mm.
gonna view myself as a victim. You
I
know, because
just
this
got
situation
chills.
wouldn't be put on my path if it wasn't, if God didn't entrust me to overcome it.
Ah, and that's ooh, spirit. Oh God, you are present. That's where I am right now.
Mm.
That perspective shift
Yeah.
of God, thank you for trusting me. Ooh,
Yeah.
oh, whoa.
Mhm.
If another language come out, I'm sorry.
No, let it let it flow through. Let it flow through. This is how spirit works. You know, you was
It's
given this situation.
ooh,
God knew that you would be able to overcome it. And spirit literally knew that yes, it's gonna leave you with some scars. However, the person that you were going to be on the other side is
oh
this
my,
situation is also a part of your purpose.
yeah, oof.
You know, it's a
Mm.
part of your purpose, and speaking about it and freeing yourself from it or gathering up support, you know, and even if it's in regards to protecting your baby, you're also protecting yourself. And he
The
gave this
version,
battle to you.
girl, the lump in my throat right now,
Spirit is on me. It's like spirit is on me. Hold on. Hold on,
cause
they on me. The spirit is on me.
it's thick in here, right? It, like the version of who I am now, Key.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't even recognize her, but I love her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wrote this the other day. I was journaling. I journal my prayers.
Mhm.
I just say, God, thank you for trusting me with this storm, because you trusted the person, the woman that I needed to become to endure
Wow.
it and be on the other side of it for whatever is next. For whatever is next. Like, moms, I'm telling you, I have my the chills.
I feel it burning in my spirit, and it's like, oh no. Anybody you feel like you're not a victim. You're a conqueror.
No. No, because remember, the enemy don't come for nobody that's not trying, that's not being used
Talk
by
about it.
God. The enemy doesn't come for anybody that's being used by God. He got plenty of people on his team. Job, like,
He said God gives his strongest battles to his toughest soldiers.
yeesh, shabasi. Mm.
The toughest soldiers. Why? Because he already knew that he already knew that he would bring you through the battle. And he said that the battle was not yours. You're fighting against something bigger. What really helped me when it came to leaving that abusive relationship was recognizing that I wasn't dealing with the person. It was an entity.
Hi, yeah, 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 yeah.
It was
It's
an
spiritual
entity.
war.
It was a it was
Oof.
it's you see what I'm saying? Like I think
Girl
my
almost got up and
is
walked.
spiritual. It's okay. I don't
Yes.
know how we got here to my listeners or to people who
We
may be
here.
following us, but this
We
let's get into it, okay?
mm.
Because I have viewed, and this has really helped me even within my spiritual journey, because to tell my story when I left that relationship while I was in it was when my spiritual awakening started happening. It's when my gifts started coming online. I've always been an intuitive person. I was a highly sensitive kid. I am highly empathic. But this relationship, it triggered the rest of me to come online. So when you talk about those blinders and your eyes really being open and those glasses flipping open, that can be it can be a really tough process to go through, because it's like, what is happening? You feel like your world is shattering, but sometimes you have to break down to break through. The only
Mm.
way over it is through it.
Oh God, you
And I
are
was like, okay,
present.
God, so
Mm.
what is this? And it's like, I'm not sending you, it's beyond the person. Look at this.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
a spirit there that's trying to keep you down and depressed. That's talking about you and your body. Somebody who said that they love you and the vile things that they can say to you to make you feel about yourself. And even when it
Mm.
comes down, to motherhood, for somebody to attack your motherhood, for somebody to procreate with you and then attack the very vessel that brought this child through, that is an entity.
Yeah. Ugh.
It is an
Mm.
entity. It is the spirit of this person.
Mm.
Think of this for my churchgoers, or even if you're not religious or spiritual, think of that person as Goliath and think of yourself as David. Think of
Cause
yourself
that's
as David.
cause cause that's how literally, I kid you not, someone gifted me a book
Mm,
diving deeper into the story of David and
mm.
Goliath.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, spirit is on me. Wow.
I gotta finish it, but it was like I like while all of this was going right before we started that first court proceeding,
Wow.
I have just finished a book my pastor wrote called Your Purpose is Calling.
Mm.
And he referenced a book that someone gifted me
Wow.
on the actual like depths of David and Goliath.
Wow.
And the the very thing that's getting me through is remembering it's not you, the human, it's the
Hmm.
entity that has come into your body that you have allowed in.
Yeah.
That is so, just as much as God uses people, the enemy uses people too,
Yeah.
right? And again, with the story of Job, God told the devil to pick Job because he knew that Job wouldn't fold.
Mm.
He knew Job wouldn't fold. Everybody wants to talk about the Job story, right? And how he
Mhm.
lost everything. But everybody forgets he got everything back tenfold because of his relationship to God, because of his relationship to the God within himself, because of his confidence and his faith and understanding that he's protected no matter what. He did
Yeah.
those sacrifices to protect his children,
Yeah.
to protect his house, to protect himself, to protect his wife, and
Yeah.
still got tempted. Oh, not tempted, still got tested,
Yeah.
still lost, and got everything back 100-fold,
Yeah. Ooh.
right?
Ooh. I got goosebumps. There was a meme. There's a meme that's been like floating on social media, and it's I guess it's supposed to be of Jesus. It just it has this long hair, it's a guy, and he's this little girl in front of him, and she's holding he has a big teddy bear behind his back, and the little
Mhm.
girl's holding her teddy bear, and he's asking her to hand it over to him, and she's like, "No, God, but I love it." Not
Mm,
realizing that there's something bigger and better waiting for her as long as she hands over, what she has right now. And it really makes me think, about how we can get caught up sometimes on like doing the hard thing, making the hard decision or the right decision, even despite how it's going to make us feel, and how
yeah.
doing the hard thing, and God, if God said it's already yours and he's already promised you these things, that walking through that door, walk opening up that door and deciding to walk through it, that everything that you have lost will be returned back to you. And I think that that is the true walk of faith. Y'all, if I could, any moms listening to this, when they said, even with this, with being intuitive keys, and still being like Rakia Chantel, that
Hmm.
relationship is what pushed me into speaking about my spiritual gifts, because it triggered my gifts to come online. But it was really through spirituality and being able to, understand like the lessons that I was learning at the time, and the journey of
Mm,
self-love that it took me through. Because that is how I was able to get over, by recognizing, okay, I attracted this type of entity to me, and then I had to take it back and get like, let's go back to the root. What attracted me to this person? And then I realized I
yeah.
had some wounds from childhood that I didn't go through that process of healing that childhood trauma. So in my adult
Hmm.
relationships, I started to mimic and choose relationships that reminded me of people who were supposed to take care of me, and the wounds that I had from them when they didn't come through. So that relationship ultimately showed me how to love myself. And it
Yeah.
told me, you have to, it's like God's way of saying, I'm going to take you through this. And yes, it's going to shape you and it's going to mold you. And it may break your heart, but I am showing you who and whose you are.
Whew.
I need you to love yourself, and love yourself so much means that it's going to hurt you for now, but the person that you are going to become after this, the walking in her purpose, being able to help
Mm.
other women rebirth themselves and come through this portal, from those who have experienced narcissistic relationships, emotional abuse, emotional trauma, healing from generational, wounds, or wounds that we carry over from our mothers, our
Our
grandmothers,
grandmothers,
those who
yeah.
walked before us. That's called ancestral trauma, that we carry. And when you think about so many women, especially like, back in the days where the husband was like, or the man was the sole provider, how many of them were in traumatic relationships and didn't leave?
Mm.
domestic violence that were happening because women, you know, they follow their heart even when their mind was trying to convince, or their gut, that's where our intuition is, their gut was telling them something different.
Yeah.
The spiritual practices that I have been able to incorporate into, you know, my journey over time are really what brought me back, what brought me to a space of being able to not only love myself but allow somebody else to love me. So for the
Mm.
moms listening who may be in that state, maybe you left this person, maybe you still have to co-parent with them, maybe this relationship has scarred you to the point where you like, I don't want to talk to nobody no more. And it's okay to be in that state. I don't want nobody to get me wrong. It's very
Yeah.
okay to be in that state because that's a time for you to get to know yourself, where you can redefine your values and your morals and what you truly desire out of a person.
Yeah.
But there is somebody that is made for you if you desire partnership. So we say healing is not only possible, but it's healing has to be done, you know. And not to say that you have to be completely healed to when you meet somebody new, but you'll that the person who is aligned with you, who and that you're calling in. I personally believe you call in your almost like a soulmate, or that person that's aligned with you to walk this life journey. You call them
Yeah.
in as you're on the road to loving on yourself.
Yeah. Because partnership is mirroring.
It is.
Yeah.
No, it is, and I've spoken to some moms before. 'Cause I told you guys like I'm not a mom, but to be around to hear other mothers, you know, say, you know, they like almost as if being in that relationship can convince you that you are unlovable, or like you're
Mm.
damaged goods because you have
Yeah.
a kid, or they will try to convince you, oh, nobody else gonna want you because you got this kid, or they'll even attack your weight, they'll attack your looks. It's all to make you think less of yourself.
Yeah.
It's a lie.
From
It's
the
like, girl, I
pits of
promise you,
hell.
there's men out there who will do it, love you and your
Right.
babies, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think building like a supportive network really helps. And for those moms who are out there, you know, maybe this episode has triggered some things for you thus far, and you like, you know what, they on to something, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
we're here to let you know and create the space to let you know that there's support out there,
Yeah.
you know. So Ashley, within your experience, like I know you said you started sharing your story. Were you
Mm-hmm.
did you participate in any like support groups, or I know you said that I think you mentioned that you're still in therapy, yeah?
Yeah. Still in therapy. The only support group I've done, um, because those are still kind of like tricky
Yeah,
sometimes,
yeah.
was when I had the miscarriage.
Mhm.
And that one was, I mean, it was for BIPOC women, right? So it was at that time, I was not only just grieving that miscarriage, I was grieving my partner at that time,
Yeah.
and the abuse with him, and my son had just went to go live with his dad.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it was a lot of, grief,
Yeah.
especially around mothering, right? Because it's like, great, I just lost two kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like now I'm like, ugh, now I'm gaslighting myself where it's like, am I even supposed to be a mom? I can't hold this child, this I can't hold that child, like all it I was a wreck. Um but that support group held space for me to be able to grieve all of those experience
Hmm.
at the same time, and move through them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but now I'm in therapy. I have a very beautiful support system. Friends literally spewed all over the country.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Where we schedule FaceTime dates. We like they've texted to check in. Another close friend of mine, it like I just went and helped her move the other day out of her situation that was
Mhm.
also dealing with the same realm of things. And she's a mom, so it's like I just over the last like 3 years, just the support system that has
Yeah.
come in has
Yeah.
been beautiful.
Yeah.
My family, even though like this other person or other persons tried to do what they could to separate me from my family, right?
Mhm.
I like it that got challenging at some points because it's like, well, you're on his side, and it became like a who's on whose side thing, and then it's like, I see what's happening here. So it's, their rage is, I'm feeling their rage and their things. But I have a beautiful support system. Um, yeah, that's what's holding me. And then people from sharing my story and continuing to put it out, sending me messages and DMs and everything. It's like, how can I help? We're
Mhm.
praying for you. We're so it's like, if prayer is all you got, I'm here for it, right? If you want to go grab a cup of coffee, I'm here for it. If you like want to help with some of these fees, I'm here for it.
Nice. We need
Right.
those. We like those.
Yeah.
That's a
So
blessing.
yeah,
What
yeah,
a blessing.
your support system is gonna make a world of difference, because as much as I have my days where I feel like I'm moving through this by myself,
Yeah.
there's moments that pop up that remind me I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think having a support system, it also, I feel like it creates like a level of safety, with
Yes.
knowing sharing my story has been freeing in a sense. And I've also, what I realized I did was when I first left, I didn't tell anybody. Like people knew I left my relationship, but they didn't know why. And I didn't share
Mm-hmm.
my story until years afterwards. And I've had somebody like, why wait till like now to share it? And it's like because now I'm such in a healthy place. I'm in a healthy relationship. I'm healthy within myself to be able to go back into those memories. Because it used to be really hard and I kind of started to disassociate after leaving, you know
Mm-hmm.
but telling your story and then realizing that like I'm not alone in this, and I think I've seen it on a meme one day, but your story can also be somebody else's blueprint or the light that somebody else's need, or it's something to let them know that one, they're seen, I hear you, I see you, I understand what you're experiencing right now. And it may be different, but I've been saying, sis, I've been there, so
Yeah.
having a support system is so beneficial to you when you are navigating this type of relationship, y'all. Therapy. I feel like people in therapy are in therapy to deal with the people who don't go to therapy.
Yes.
So therapy has been, and I didn't go to therapy afterwards, not until some years later. Once I did this decide to start dating again and then realize I was holding on to some fears and some things and some relationship trauma within my body that was preventing me from really like receiving or even being open to exploring relationships. That's something I really wanted.
Yeah.
But having a therapist or a mental health support that can, even some type of spiritual counsel or spiritual support, somebody who does not know you, that can truly be able to reflect some things back to you, or to cause you to go like deeper levels within yourself, is so beneficial, and it'll be so helpful to your journey through self-love, self-healing, even on your spiritual journey. Get one. Like
Yeah.
even if you are okay and you're good, if I can send you some resources, anybody out there, feel free to reach out, because there's support out there, and therapy is
Mm.
just a safe space for you to go and unravel and have some things reflected back to you so you can continue to affirm yourself while you're on your journey. You know,
Yeah.
those groups, whether it's a sister group, support group, therapy, your sister friends, the
Mm-hmm.
people who have been able to travel through these experiences with you and hold that safe space with you, they're almost like the safety net that's created, you know?
Yeah.
Um and it can also make you feel like you're being held and that you're being loved and almost like you're back in the womb, as you essentially like
Mm.
mother yourself through the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you also want people that are going to remind you of you,
Yeah.
right? Like there were moments where I just forgot about any and everything I've ever done, I've ever, created. Just, I like, it like there was a moment where whatever was being said, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is who I am.
Yeah.
I am, because of whatever that present space I was in.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, when you're talking to certain girlfriends, or like even my grandmother, my hype woman, right? She's like, you've done this, you've done that, you wrote this, you wrote that, you've been here,
Yes.
you've
She
done more
reminded
than,
you still that girl.
yeah, it's like you've done more than, some people in the family have. And it's just like, oh,
You right.
gotta
That
do a
was
little hair
me.
flip real quick. Like, oh, I forgot. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
like you got to remember too, like, and we said it last episode, the
Yeah.
narcissist is, there's jealousy
Yeah.
there also, right?
Yeah.
They're jealous of the relationship you have with your child and the closeness, and but some of that is just naturally because your mom, you gave birth to this child, you can't change that. um there, like, the way you just keep going and you do things, and there's jealousy at the core of that. And the way people just feel the need to bring you down because of their own
And
lack
stuff.
of, yeah, their own stuff. It's disheartening.
Yeah.
So I think remembering the spiritual part of it is the most important, the
Absolutely.
most important, most
Absolutely.
important.
And I know it may be hard for some moms who have to co-parent, with this other person. But if you absolutely don't have to, and you're okay with that decision, no contact, sis. Like, you gotta go no contact, leave them alone. Or have like as low contact as you can possibly have with this person. And it's just out of protection. The
Yeah.
more open you are, the more access, that's the word, that they have to you, they will try everything. They'll try everything, even from love bombing you all over again to calling you out your name and everything but a child of God,
Yeah.
and if you can limit your access to that type of person, especially if you have a child with them and have to deal with them, then keep it one strictly about the child. Because
Mm-hmm.
children can also be used as pawns, where they would use the child to try to get to you,
Mm-hmm.
and to avoid all of that. If you can, it's like saying like stay away. To recognizing this person is no longer safe for me to speak to, and it just strictly has to be, about what's in my child's best interest. So
Yeah.
it's gonna come with some solid boundaries, even with yourself. When you may feel
Mm-hmm.
like especially for those moms who haven't gone into who haven't separated, or may still have some heart ties and some some feelings towards this person, where it's like you want to text them, you want to reach out, or oh, I wonder if they miss me. Or even if you decide, even if you may feel like you're missing this person, which is normal sometimes, it's
Yeah.
normal, but reminding yourself of why you made the decision, or you're making the decision that you're making.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can, block them. If that's not going to work, because we got the little nails, then keep it strictly about the child. They want to talk about something else. Okay, let's
Don't
focus on
respond.
this.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the ways that you can also protect yourself.
Yeah. And you set that communication boundary, right? If it's only through text, make it only through text. If it's
Yeah.
only through email, make it only through email. If it's don't call before XYZ time,
Yeah.
you got to stick to that too, right?
Even
Even
having a
if,
mediator.
right. There's parenting apps out there. Some of them you might have to pay for, some of them are free. Get into that. I know there's like My Family Wizard, right? Where everything goes through that app, right? And some of
That's
these,
really helpful.
yes, some of these apps, they start picking up on the tones of voices too. They pick up tone
Wow.
through the text message, right? So protecting yourself means I might have to do a little extra. I'm gonna have to be uncomfortable, a little bit, um, to really create space for me and my peace for my child. Because at the end of the
Absolutely.
day, you deserve to have peace.
Absolutely.
And when that starts getting disrupted, then now that person has put themselves at the forefront where they want to be.
Yeah. Release the
You
guilt.
deserve, yeah, your child deserves to have peace.
Absolutely. Release the
Yeah.
guilt, moms. The guilt that you may feel for having to put these things in place, and just always bring yourself back to why you're doing this. You know,
Yes.
um, even though I don't have children, I did experience that, like, self-blame of like feeling like I put myself here, or even being guilty, or having those feelings like, well, damn, what could I have done differently?
Hmm.
And I had to stop myself and even build the boundary with going no contact, which was really hard, even though I started to like hate this person. There was something still in me that wanted to talk to them, and having the boundaries with myself to be like, nope, this is why we're doing this. Remember,
Yeah.
this is why we're doing this. You can't keep experiencing the same things over and over. So, not feeling guilty for making the best decision for you and reclaiming your peace and your joy. If
Yeah.
anybody
Girl, I
needs it,
had
the
a
mamas
moment
need
like
it.
that today. Yeah. I had a moment like that today. I was like, let me go talk to Chat GTP. Should I text this person? And Chat was like, what you need to talk to them for? I was like, just let them know that I sent the paperwork so they can sign it and
Listen,
we be done. But it was
AI.
like, but you got the tracker. And I was just like, fair. I was like, I.
Chat GPT, that AI is something different. And I want everybody, if you a mom, go play with it, just play with it a little bit, and even like prompt it to, if you if you were like my spirit guide, or if you were my guardian angel, what will you tell me? And
Mm,
really watch the response that you get, because that's very helpful. And I'm a person who, I've had my feelings about AI, but
it's here.
and using it in that aspect to help reaffirm you in that
Mm-hmm.
moment, like, I want to do this, and it reminding you like, hey, no, we're not going to do that. You
Yeah.
have another alternative. Okay, you do not have to do that, and if you do, just know you're making a choice. And the things that it can reflect back to you, and it's like that Chat GPT is just play
Girl,
with it a little bit more. Like, you got to play with it a
it
little bit
gave
more.
me a list. It was like, here's what could potentially happen if you do. And I was just like,
You're
I
right.
ask you for all of this, but yeah.
But it told you the truth, a hard
It
truth.
did. It did. And again, that moment of transparency and vulnerability where it's like, I'm grieving this person, right?
Yeah.
Separate, like I'm grieving my ex-husband, but it's like, my love for him is still there. That's always going to
Yes.
be there because
Yeah.
I love, right? I've
Yeah.
loved them since high school, and I know that this isn't the person for me, and not the person for my son, and not the person to walk within my future right
Yeah.
now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what his
Yeah.
healing journey is going to
Yeah.
look like if it happens, whatever. So it's like being transparent with myself about today. This is hard. I'm mailing divorce papers again because he don't
Yeah.
want to let me go and I'm ready to go, but it's like, oh, but what if, you start thinking about those good
Yeah.
moments, but it's like, remember the why.
Yeah.
Remember the why. And this is on your list of what you don't want in a partner.
Yeah.
So, full transparency there. That
Yes.
GTP snatched me right on up. That was like, yep, that was quick. Bye.
Yes. Yes. So um there's actually like some practices that, for a lot of the moms that I've worked with, that I've used, or just like some tips that you guys can use, whether you're starting your healing journey or just to help you, feel empowered. Because recovering from narcissistic abuse, it really requires like a deep healing on an emotional level, a mental level, and a spiritual level. It's some spiritual practices that I have done for myself that I found helpful. There's a few I'm going to share with you guys as you are in this stage of not only rebuilding like your sense of self, but also like restoring your inner peace. So, because we're dealing with the entity and the spiritual aspect of it, something that people can do when you're trying to separate for somebody, or let's say that you are separated, in regards to like energetic forming, you can do something as simple as visualize using visualization. For some people who want to work with their hands, I would say Go get a piece of paper, write your name on one side, write their name on one side, and what you do is literally get some scissors and you can literally like cut it up and like discard it into the garbage as a symbolic way of releasing them. For those of you who may want to use candles, you can get like two candles and you can literally get a string that you can wrap around both candles and like do it in a safe space where you, of course, you can burn the candle safely, and you can light the string on fire, and literally it's a representation of you separating yourself from this program. you know
Yeah.
Simple practice. You could write a letter and burn it. Get
Mm.
out all your feelings, put it down on paper, and then what you can do is you can, why am I raising my hand? Look at Spirit saying, like, yes. I was like, wait, how did that just happen? Spirit said, mm-hmm. Oh, that was so funny. And I don't know how to take it off, but there we go. You can write a letter, you can burn it. You can do some grounding techniques, which is simply going for a walk, or you can go outside sitting in some grass, whether it's connecting back to the earth, and feeling grounded. For some of you, you may want to go sit near some water. If you can
Mm.
get near a water hole. Water is a we are our human bodies are composed of 70% water. So whether you go in there to cry, whether you are soaking more in a salt bath and you're literally visualizing yourself separating from this person. Affirmations that say, I am safe, I am grounded, I am whole. you know if you are somebody who still has their womb, and womb healing and healing that sacral chakra, which is the chakra of your creativity, of also your joy and your pleasure, and healing your womb space. What you can start doing is called like a womb meditation, where you literally place your hands over your womb and you talk to her, or ask me what I need or what I need to do. You can incorporate like yoni steaming into your practice, which is taking like herbs that you would like boil and then sit over the pot to heal any like energetic cords or to release stored trauma and emotions. I have seen the benefits of yoni steaming when it comes to healing emotional trauma, because it's like as you're steaming, the emotional release that happens after that is something super powerful. And now you're crying, don't even know why you're crying. You know why you're crying, and it almost like you can feel some stored emotions, repressed traumas, literally like coming out of your body, or a simple practice such as journaling. And
Mm.
here's a journal prompt that you may want to use, of like, what energy do I want to release from past relationships? And sitting with it. Whatever's going to help you restore your spirit, um to release those emotions, because you may have to separate from this person, or you may have to still deal with them for the sake of your child, but still want to keep yourself at a very grounded level to be able to navigate the co-parenting space. So what small practices, and for those of you who are a bit more intermediate or advanced, you can take it up to the candles, but keep it simple. Like, keep the practice simple, your self-care practice simple. um because self-care is a practice, and it's not
Yeah.
something that you can do like once and expect it to still be like a beneficial or efficient like over time.
Yeah.
Practice it. Practice getting back to yourself. Practice loving on yourself and being able to identify like what that looks like for me. What do I enjoy? And like I
Mm-hmm.
said, if you're not enjoying it, why you doing it?
Right.
You can
Right.
stop.
Yeah. If it's not setting you free, why?
Not
Why even
speaking life
bother?
into you,
Yeah. Yeah.
taken from you.
Yeah.
If it's draining you, that's your
Yeah.
call. It's time to let this go. And it's
Yeah.
okay.
Hmm. That was
Yeah.
fruit. This was the
Spirit came through in this one. They had all type of things happening. They didn't cut the camera off and cut it back on. And then they came in the room like boom. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope this has really been fruitful, really been a blessing. Cuz this conversation is a little difficult cuz I'm in the thick of it, and it's also reminding me, like he said, of my purpose, right? I'm a communicator, I'm a teacher, it's all in my chart. Chiron is all in my chart.
Oh,
So
that
I
wounded
like,
healer.
yes, I am the wounded healer, and I lick my wounds, and I help people go go lick theirs, and
Yeah,
it's but that's I love being able to create spaces like this,
yeah,
um and partner with other women who are wounded warriors also, and ready to just help other women find their medicine, right? It's not us giving them our medicine, but it's helping you find yours because we
yeah,
have found ours. um yeah, and just reminder, Key, I love how you said the experience showed you it showed you your powers,
yeah,
your spiritual self, all of that, your gifting. um a lot of reframing, right? Like
mhm,
reframing is a gift. Reframing is a gift. What is this teaching me?
yeah,
What is this? What version of me is is what version of me needs to now come forth, right? Yeah. Wow. I love y'all for free.
yes. So I'm gonna leave you guys with this affirmation. Journal it, write it down, but place your hands like over your heart and over your womb space to receive your affirmation. My spirit is free and my heart is whole.
Mm.
My spirit is free and my heart is whole. I love you guys.
Mm.
I thank you for sharing this space with us.
Yes. We love you all. Tune in next week. Yeah, tune in
Next week's
next week.
episode, I think we're talking about self-love. We really gonna get down to the nitty-gritty. I got some juicy things I want to talk about when it comes to loving on yourself, what that looks like, but really making it a practice. So I'm
Yes.
excited.
Yes. Ooh, I want to talk. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I'm ready for next week. All right. We love y'all. Be well. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Take care of your babies. And we will see you next week.